Hello, my name is Meredith Kutz, the Professional Development Associate here at NACE. I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, Applying an Innovative Solution to an Age-Old Problem, Experiential Learning. It is my pleasure to introduce Mehek Hassan, Educational Partnerships Manager at Forage, Wesley Dickens, Assistant Director of Experiential Education at the University of Mississippi School of Business Administration, and Christy Brescia, Academic Career Advisor at the College of Staten Island, CUNY. Take it away.
Thanks, Meredith. So I'm sure that it won't surprise a NACE member if I said that 86% of US college students say that getting a job is the main reason they attend college. I'm sure it also wouldn't surprise anyone part of the NACE community if I said that even though almost all students say that the reason they go to college is to get a job, only 34% of students feel confident that when they graduate, they'll have the skills needed to be successful in the workplace. And that concern isn't unwarranted because only 46% of employers feel that college adequately prepares students for the workplace. So something is missing. There is a disconnect between higher education and the world of work. And everyone knows it. Students know it, employers know it, colleges and universities know it, higher education knows that they're not giving students or employers what they need. And there's so much pressure on colleges to start modernizing their offering, to start including industry relevant content and start better preparing students for the world of work by adding that content to coursework. And we have seen so many schools respond. We are seeing higher education work to evolve by integrating university-wide initiatives, really prioritizing preparing students for the world of work so that they can pursue meaningful careers. But they can't do it alone. And employers know better than anyone else that even though higher education is getting all the slack, employers themselves are the best abled and equipped to give their future candidates the skills that they need. And so long as colleges remain a primary source of talent, the burden of bridging the capability and awareness gap ultimately lies with the company. So here's the good news. Employers are rising to the occasion. And Forage is the place where these companies, world-leading organizations like BCG, Accenture, Deloitte, Citi, and many others have set up online training courses designed to give any learner from any walk of life a chance to try out what it's like to work there without an application, for absolutely free, in a self-paced simulation. And we call these online training courses virtual work experiences. They let students try out what it's like to work there by getting hands-on experience doing the actual tasks and projects that they would do if they were employees. And today, the Forage platform has 1.5 million students using these experiences all around the world. But we're also really privileged to work with over 300 universities and colleges globally, almost a third of those here in the United States, where many instructors are using these experiences that employers have put on the Forage platform inside of their coursework. And it's a fantastic way to connect the dots for students, to take the theory that they're learning in class and apply it practically in a specific situation for a specific employer. So these companies are using virtual experiences to train students and better prepare them for the workplace. So today, we're going to dig into some of the challenges that are in place when it comes to scaling out employer-sponsored experiential learning. And we're going to learn how Forage provides a really innovative and easy to use solution. You're going to get to see what a virtual work experience involves for a student. And you'll also hear from two of our amazing educational partners on how they're using these experiences in their coursework. And finally, you'll learn how easy it is to get started for free literally in less than 30 minutes, you can start delivering work-based learning to any and every student at your campus. And hi, by the way, my name is Mehak, and I'm the Education Partnerships Manager for North America here at Forage. I get to do really rewarding work. I work with instructors at universities, colleges, coding boot camps, vocational and training schools, and I help them get set up using the virtual experiences inside of coursework. We've also seen them be used to fulfill internship requirements in workshops, in seminars, really in any use case where it's required as a key learning requirement. And as a first generation American and the first in my family to graduate from a university, I feel like I'm making a real difference. Together with the colleges, the schools that I work with, and the employers, I feel like everybody is really coming together to transform the lives of students. And personally, I know that if something like Forage existed when I was in college, it would have saved me a lot of confusion. It would have saved me a lot of anxiety, and I wouldn't have felt so inadequate. So I know it would have made a difference for me. And I want to share my story with you because it'll probably resonate. But when I was in college, I studied rhetoric and political science, and I literally, as a freshman, wanted to be a politician. And looking back at those aspirations makes me laugh. This community knows better than most that your major isn't always your career. But that was my choice at first. That quickly changed. And about 2 minutes before graduation was when the panic set in. Because my parents really taught me to value my American education. You know, they came here with nothing, and I was taught that so long as I really cared about my education, it would lead me to a better life, that I would climb the socioeconomic ladder and better subsequent generations. But here I was ready to graduate. The only thing I had on my resume was Jamba Juice and the fact that I was a cashier at CVS. And I started to have a crisis, wondering what would I do with my life? What could I do? I felt that the experience on my resume wouldn't be able to tell the employers that I wanted to work for my potential and what I could do. And I didn't feel like I would really be able to move the needle in the way that my parents wanted me to, in the way I wanted to. So when my friend mentioned that she could refer me for an internship position at Morgan Stanley, I jumped on it. And believe me, it wasn't because I had any interest in the financial industry so much. It wasn't because it paid more. In fact, my CVS job paid more. And I was also commuting into the city every morning, and then coming back to take classes at night in school, going home, doing my homework. I was miserable, and it was a very horrible experience for me. I was overwhelmed, but still I felt like it was worth it. Even though I declined the full-time position, which was offered to me at the end of the internship, it was worth it to me, because how else was I going to build experience? This was the only way I knew. I would try it, and if I didn't like it, I would do something else. And with this model, career exploration isn't really a thing. It's something students do in a state of panic when they're ready to graduate, while they're applying for all these other jobs. And my experience isn't unique, because from the data that we've seen, 83% of students feel anxious about applying for a job. And like me, over half of them say that they applied just to increase their employment prospects, not because they really wanted to work there. So we're seeing all these students not really make good choices, go into careers because of the prestige associated with the industry or the role, which just leads to churn for the company. And the experience from a student's perspective is so much worse or confounded when you come from a marginalized or underrepresented background and you don't have connections to really guide you. You're more hesitant to apply because you feel unqualified. This is all really paradoxical, right? Because we know how much employers care about informing candidates about what their jobs involve, what their workplace culture is like, how they go to campus how they go campus to campus, attending expensive career fairs, trying to find the right talent, and still candidates show up and they don't know about the company or the job role. The idea is employers know that these candidates are missing skills, but they can train them after the fact. But still, candidates are not productive for months, if not years. And then large portions end up churning and leaving for other companies. So it seems like students are making decisions for the wrong reason. And everybody understands this, but the idea is we can train them after the fact and just give them the skills they need to fill the gap. The consensus is basically in when it comes to how we're going to solve this. It has to be a co-curricular approach, because 98% of the students that we've asked have said that they would really benefit if they had more practical training before they started the job search. And all employers agree that it's important to find new and innovative ways to get students desk ready. But here's the really powerful fact. For every 1% increase in courses that have real work, employment outcomes for students increase by 5.4%. And this shift is already happening, right? There are so many employers and schools that have started to collaborate to deliver real project-based learning in a variety of different ways. The challenges really come down to the fact that it's really hard to scale these co-curricular employer-made projects out so that every single student and every single educator has an opportunity to use them. Because access to employers isn't equal. I mean, think about it. If even within one department, a professor might have a relationship with an employer and they've arranged for a project for their students to work on, there might be another instructor in the same department whose students could really benefit from accessing that employer, but there's no coordination. And it takes time to develop a relationship with an employer. I've spoken with so many community colleges and small private schools in rural areas where they don't have access to these big Fortune 500 companies, and their students need that exposure the most. It takes time to build a relationship, and sometimes you have to arrange for funding. You have to get approval. The employer has to pay a stipend to pay for students to take the course. But the biggest reason is, think about it. If the project that the employer is making doesn't meet a true business need, so they're generating this work just so that students have a chance to experience what it's like to work there, just so that they can learn and build skills, there won't be enough of them to reach every student. And it'll take time to make them. So there's barriers to access for the students. There's no way to create enough projects so it can reach anyone at any time. And it's not reaching the students who need it most. Well, what if there was another way? What if there was a way that you could have on-demand access to projects designed by world-leading companies for free? And you wouldn't need to do any coordination with the employer ahead of time. You wouldn't need any resources. And every single instructor at your institution, every single student could have access to that experience. This is what the Forage virtual work experiences provide. It's an innovative and ingenious solution for experiential learning because it can be deployed on demand. Virtual work experiences are pre-made work simulations. There's no prior coordination or barriers of access for students or educators. They can be used for domestic students and international ones. So we've already assembled some of the best employers in the world who have distilled their workplace into a virtual training environment that your students can visit for free, that your instructors can add into coursework in minutes. These companies are using virtual experience to train students before they're even thinking about jobs, so that when they're ready to apply, they're better prepared. They know where they want to work for and why they want to work there, or where they don't and why they don't. It's the quickest, most scalable way to bring students, universities, and employers together and bridge the gap between education and the world of work. So this idea is actually pretty revolutionary, right? The idea of employers stepping up to create a space where learners can go and get some training before they start the hiring process, training before hiring. It's completely flipping the hiring model. It's revolutionary. And these are just some of the companies that are on this Forge platform and have joined the revolution, and create a space where, say you're in a antitrust class, right? You can take a virtual experience by White and Case and practice what it's like preparing for a case as an associate. Or maybe you're taking a data science class, right? You can see what it's like to deliver a presentation as a technical consultant for SAP. These students are able to really connect the dots and see a potential career path that their learnings apply to. They're not just learning, they're experiencing that career path and how it links to their subject. So we have almost 90 different employers on the platform that have these programs for free. I'd love to show you what one looks like now. So let's go Forge. Let's go check out one of these experiences. And so let's pretend that we're a student and our instructor has shared a link out to the JP Morgan investment banking experience. And so the student just answers a couple of questions as they register for this experience. And we'll see a couple of modules here. Now the students can do these in any order. Start to finish, an experience takes 5 to 6 hours. Let's dive in and see what one looks like. So all the modules generally follow the same flow. It starts with some video instructions from their supervisor, letting them know the task, some background information about what they're doing, details on the task itself. And I'm not going to read through all of this for you, but basically the student here is being asked to read through a phone call transcript and then write an email recommendation to their supervisor. They have resources to help them. So they've got notes from the call, summarizing all the important bits, and an email template to guide their communication. So then they take a crack at the assignment themselves. They submit the work. And once they've initially submitted, they will unlock model work. And this model work's been done by an actual employee at JP Morgan in the investment banking vertical. So it's a fantastic way for students to see, okay, if I started working for JP Morgan tomorrow, how would I have done? How would I have performed at the work there? And how does a seasoned employee do the same task? And then they can resubmit as many times as they want so that they can improve over time and really digest those skills. And it's a good thing, you know, to see a candidate improve over time. Same thing happens on the job, right? You're asked to do something again, and that way you reiterate, and now you've learned. A student can do this whole experience anonymously. It's up to them. But there's also an option for them to click a little button up here and allow the employer to contact them. And then recruiters can reach out to them right on the platform and start a conversation about job opportunities. So there is a pathway to actually scheduling an interview, to landing a real internship here. It's just a little reversed where the students are getting to learn first, and it's great to use in classes. So how can you get started? How can you start adding these into your classes? It's so simple. So basically, you'll be able to go through our catalog and select the virtual experiences that relate best to your course. You can pick as many as you want, or you can just pick one. And then the way that students find these experiences is once you've selected the ones that you want, those will go on a page for your class, and you can add your own kind of branding elements to it. So if you want, you can add your logo and your background image. But that way, the experiences that you're delivering to your students are packaged with your branding. So they know that this is something their institution, their instructor is presenting them with. Now, the instructor isn't doing any heavy lifting here. They're not grading the actual work that students are submitting in the experience. Rather, best practice is to have students write a reflection about their experience and the practical skills they've developed. So all they're really sharing is a link to the page where the students find the experience and register externally. And often that's shared in the LMS. Then students write a reflection, thinking about what they learned from the model work, talking about how that connected to topics in class, how that changed their idea about the industry or their career path. So important for experiential learning, this reflective exercise. That's how you really master the skill, by digesting it and thinking about what you've learned. So that's it. Really, they're just grading the reflection. They'll also be connected to a dashboard so that instructors can easily keep track of student participation. But this is a collective dashboard, which means you'll be able to track student participation all across your school, right? You can see the different classes it's being used in, what programs students like best. So great analytics that all of this is free, that just come with when you set up a page for yourself. So very simple to get started, but the benefits are so profound. Firstly, it's free, and it always will be free for universities, institutions of learning, and students. We're trying to democratize career exploration, and we know that there's enough barriers in place when it comes to developing the skills you need. So we want both educators and students to be able to use this no problem. So that's why it's free. These are on demand. They're ready to go anytime you want to add them into your courses, so that students can develop critical work skills and have better employment outcomes. Now, students, when they finish the experience, hopped around there. When students finish the experience, they get a certificate of completion that's employer sponsored. So they can leverage the fact that they learned these skills from BCG or JP Morgan or Citibank. And they can also put that on their LinkedIn. And they can also be confident that they have what it takes to work for these big companies. They can go and forage for the skills they need to become the best possible candidate. Instructors can track student participation as they modernize their offering with industry relevant content. And they can also make sure both their domestic and international students have an opportunity to get exposure to these big companies. Ultimately, student job prospects improving is a win-win-win. It's a win for universities, it's a win for students, and it's a win for employers. Because when we surveyed our employer partners, we found that a student who completes an employer's virtual experience is 5 times more likely to receive an offer compared to an applicant who, applied but didn't complete the employer's virtual experience. So there's a strong impact here. And imagine employment outcomes at your institution if you could easily, literally within a day, sprinkle virtual work experiences into courses across your institution, department-wide. How quickly can you make an impact on your employees, on your students' job prospects? So now I think it's important for you all to hear from some of the folks that have used these experiences in their coursework. Some of our amazing educational partners that are key to supporting us in this revolution. You'll hear from Wesley and Janet Dickens at the University of Mississippi, as well as Christy from the College of Staten Island, part of the CUNY network. So I'll let you take it away, Wesley.
Thanks, Mayheck. I'm about to share my screen here. All right. And okay, should be able to see us now. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I'm excited to provide details on our experience using Forage at the University of Mississippi. Here with me is my partner and colleague who also teaches this class and we'll be discussing today. And I'll let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Janet Dickens. Like Wesley said, I actually team teach with him. Even at the married couple, it's kind of a fun thing that we get to do together. I have the joy of working on campus as well at the University of Mississippi in the Mississippi Small Business Development Center. We are in the state lead office, and I'm an assistant director over special projects and communication. I also teach a couple adjunct courses at the University of Mississippi School of Business. The first is business communications with my husband, and then I also teach a human resources course, selection and placement.
Yeah, Glad to have her here today. So for the presentation, we're going to first provide context on our university, why we decided to partner with Forge, and then we're going to go into a discussion on our soft launch of Forge integrated into one of our course curriculums, including some feedback we had from students. So first, just a bit about the university. We are a public research university located in University, Mississippi. If you're not familiar with Mississippi geography, we're located at the very top of the state. It's relatively close to the Tennessee state line. In fact, one of the closest metropolitan areas to us is Memphis, Tennessee, and that's about 90 miles away. And Oxford is the town that surrounds the university. It's a beautiful college town with a picturesque downtown square, lots of great shopping, lots of great restaurants. It's a great place to visit, a great place to live and go to school, but it lacks industry. And so we're considered a rural campus here. So specifically on campus, I work in our business school where I help support our internships and experiential learning efforts in our Office of Career Preparation. And so given the lack of industry that we have in Oxford, most of our students have to seek internships outside of this area, either in Memphis or in another city. And then when COVID hit, that left us scrambling even more to find experiential opportunities, as I'm sure a lot of you had to do the same. And so that's when we came across Forge as a potential option for virtual experiences. And in the spring of this year, we became an official university partner. It was March of 21. So before we get started into how we integrated it in a course, I'm going to talk a little bit more about our Office of Career Preparation. So aside from coordinating our career and internship programming for business students, we also facilitate 14 sections of business communication. And this course has career embedded topics that we focus on for about half the semester. We cover career related areas. And it is a required course for all business students. Okay, next slide. Here we go. Okay, so considering the time frame of when we partnered with Forge, it was later in the semester, late March. We decided to have a soft launch of this platform within 3 of our classes. It was my class, my wife's class, and then also my director's class. And since it was introduced later in the semester, we offered it as an optional project for the final exam. And students had the option of completing the project or taking a traditional final exam. And the project entailed all of these sections here. The students completed a virtual experience through Forge. We just asked they reflect on why they selected that experience, but we pretty much gave them flexibility to choose any program. Once they completed the project, they downloaded a certificate from the partner company and then integrated this experience into their into their LinkedIn profile and resume line item. Also, they wrote a reflection paper, and in just a moment, I'm going to share some excerpts that we had from feedback from our students from this project. So we'll go forward. Okay, so just a few outcomes here. We had 22 students participate, and this is out of about 105 students. So about a 21% participation rate, which I felt, considering the timing of when we introduced Forge in the class, we thought this was a good success. We introduced it just a few weeks before the finals started, so they really had a short turnaround before they had to complete the project.
And to interject, I do think that is going to go up. Kind of the feedback that I got from a lot of my students in both courses that I teach is that in this strange world that we all have gone into in higher ed with COVID, most of the students were either in an online course or hybrid course of some sort. And so they all were having assignments that, kind of big projects and things like that. And so I think as we maybe get to a little bit more of a normal point, hopefully during this COVID,
yeah.
We have Delta surging now, but hopefully as we get a little bit more normal, I think more students will take advantage of the opportunity too.
Yeah, absolutely. So here are a few examples of the certificates that were completed in the class. Of course, many of them were related to business, but we did have a few students explore areas in the arts and law, and I thought that was really interesting to see how students use the platform to explore areas outside of their course of study. We'll go to the next slide. So here we have some excerpts from the students, and what I'm going to read through, or Janet's going to read through some of the highlights of these excerpts, and then we can talk through them as we go along.
I can say without a doubt that it taught me the most out of any assignment or course I have taken throughout my time as a student at Ole Miss.
Yes, and I thought this was a pretty major accolade, and I think it gets back to the applied work experience that was introduced in the project. probably as many of you all on the call, I've taken many courses along my academic journey, and often they are lecture based. You either have 3 exams and then the final. And so anytime you can introduce an experiential activity in a classroom, I think it really stands out to the students.
Absolutely. The videos, voicemails, emails, and other forms of communication really drove home the sense that you were there. It's not often that you actually enjoy the final for the class.
Yeah. Again, the student enjoyed the aspect of learning by doing.
Yeah. And also from my selection placement course standpoint, this is actually a selection tool for employers. And I love the idea that we get the opportunity to introduce students to that kind of virtual simulation, because that is a real life selection tool. I believe this experience helped me understand how to find the problem and solutions in a business, from customer relations to financial needs.
Yeah, and so in this one, the student utilized problem solving and critical thinking, which gets back to the NACE competencies. And it's also something our business school has emphasized in our quality enhancement plan. So it was great to see that come out as well.
It connects to my career goals and progression by giving me the tools to understand the role that investment banking can have on local and global economies. It was awesome to be able to play the role as an actual investment banker.
And the last, career exploration, connecting the dots in the selected industry. I should have said this earlier, this class is a sophomore level class, so a lot of it was for them to gain experience in career exploration and try to find their path on direction they would want to go in. So as a precursor to hopefully a traditional internship. So that was the purpose and the goal of the project when we introduced it. And although these were just a few quotes selected for the presentation, all students relayed a positive learning experience. In fact, each student was asked if they would recommend this project be permanently added to the course, and all the students had answered a resounding yes. So going forward, we're going to continue this project in these 3 courses, and we're currently introducing it to our other instructors in business communication. So we're excited about the potential further integration in this curriculum in this course. So thank you, and I'll pass it back to Mehek.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks so much. That was wonderful. And well, I'll give it to Christy now so you can hear about how they're using Forage at CSI CUNY.
Perfect. Oops. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Christy Brescia. I am an academic and a career tech advisor at the College of Staten Island with the Computer Science Department. I'd like to give you a little bit background about my program. I have a certain cohort of students that are upper level students, and my goal is to provide the students with academic advisement, and at the same time I meet with them to make sure that they're doing professional development activities that will make them marketable, so when they graduate they're walking right into a job. So that's my main goal. So just to give you, I'll read the slide. The CUNY 2X Tech is an initiative to double by 2022 the number of CUNY students graduating annually with a tech-related bachelor's degree prepared to launch careers into the New York City tech ecosystem. Designed and delivered in partnership with industry and academia, this initiative will help build a pipeline of diverse tech talent from the city's public education system, delivering quality jobs for New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and quality talent for New York City businesses. The model, which builds on the work of the New York City Tech Talent Pipeline Academic Council, will support student success and preparedness for tech careers by expanding access to industry-aligned instruction, knowledgeable advisors, and relevant work experience. Now, I did use it a little differently than Wesley. I had 3 different initiatives, and I was initially introduced to Forage from MIT, and they were using it for their computer science students during COVID. So my cohort consists of 160 upper level students. And as part of their requirement to be in my cohort, they have to create a resume, a LinkedIn account, they have to work on a project, and have a GitHub account. And then I made an optional requirement is the virtual work experience. So they could either attempt or complete it. They had to add the virtual work experience on their resume. They had to post a certificate of completion on their LinkedIn profile. Now, when I first met with a student, I could have a senior who had no experience on his resume. So this was a student who was able to participate in 4 or 5 virtual work experiences and put that on their resume. They're also able to talk about it in an interview, which is fabulous. Another way, that was in fall of 2020. In the fall of 2021, I realized what a valuable tool it was. And we have a requirement for first-year students called CLUE. And what they have to do is complete a workshop. So we created a page, and every freshman had access to this experience. It was geared towards the tech student population, and in order to get credit for it, they would have to post their certificate of completion for first year required workshop credit in the first year experience area. And then finally we come to the summer, and we designed an internship prep course. It was a pilot course, 10 students registered, and they had to complete a virtual work experience. They had to add experience to their resume, and they had to post again on LinkedIn. And I will talk a little bit about the outcomes. So for the CUNY 2X cohort from fall 2020 to the present, 112 students completed our virtual work experience programs. They do take them more than once. They take a variety of virtual work experiences. For the CLUE requirement, there were 14. I don't think that's low because it was virtual. That would be something more that if there was an orientation that I was in person, I could sit with students, we could put them in a group, and they could take it as a group. For the CSC, the 591 internship prep course, that was for the summer 2021, 10 students completed it. Now, I listed below the different experiences that they completed. The JP Morgan Chase Software Engineer Program, Electronic Arts Software Engineer, Goldman Sachs Software Engineer, and Build Web Applications at a Startup. And this is the most popular one with freshmen and with all of our students. I just put it at the bottom because it was different tech-related areas. So a student, if they take the careers in tech, they could live the life of a UI UX designer, a software engineer, a cybersecurity specialist, a data science person, or an AI or robotics. So, you know, just because they're in tech, they're unsure of what their career path still is. Some students just say, I just want to get a job. But we all know that when they're going on an interview, they have to have a passion for a certain area. So this was just a really fabulous way for students to do it at their own pace and take advantage of all the different work experiences. We have some student feedback, and it was just from a little survey that I sent out. They were able to experience the day in the life of a software engineer. They were introduced to Python, and it was awesome. They practiced Git and GitHub skills. I want to work at JP Morgan Chase. This is actually fabulous because they all did the JP Morgan Chase virtual work experience. And after it, they're all now applying for the summer 2022 JP Morgan Software Engineer internship. So that's a direct result, and they're applying. All of them said it developed confidence. They're nervous, you know, tech is challenging, tech is massive. So this is a way they could take advantage of work experiences on their own time. They loved it because it's free, and they can complete multiple times at their own pace. I can apply what I'm learning in the classroom to work situation. I was able to talk about my experience in an interview, and that to me is just key because not everybody has the opportunity to have a paid internship. Many of our students work, they have families, and to leave their full-time position for a 3-month internship or a summer internship really isn't possible for them. They just can't do it. So this is a way they're connecting to workplace and recruiters, learned different career options in tech. And this was my favorite because as an advisor and a career counselor, the student, after they completed the electronic arts virtual work experience, they went to their homepage, to their business page, and there was a question on what courses at school will help me work in the game industry. And they told me, okay, next semester I'm registering for calculus and computer graphics because I want to work in gaming. So to me, that's key. In addition, they actually connected to the recruiter who was in the video in the electronic arts presentation. His name is Michael Lee, and he was kind enough, and the students are actually interacting with him on LinkedIn. So these are experiences that are just valuable for my students. As an academic advisor and a career counselor, I have to ensure that in addition to their academic coursework, that they're participating in professional development activities that will make them marketable for a job. And without a doubt, this program has made my students marketable. I am very excited to help them all apply for the JP Morgan Software Engineer 2022 internship. We're all working on that now. The entire class that I taught in the summer will be applying. So we do hope, if there's another webinar, I could tell you how they're all working there now, which would be phenomenal. And just for the future, there will be, from now on, every semester, there will be an internship prep course for computer science majors that we will include Forage as a major component of the class. And our Career Center now is going to implement virtual work experience for our majors on campus as well. I just have to say that it's been a phenomenal experience, the program. The students are very positive in their approach to it. They're nervous. It gives them a chance to work with each other. They learn from it. They're learning career management, and it's making them more, it's making them stand up for themselves a little bit more. When the students told me they reached out to the recruiter on LinkedIn, I was so proud. You know, that's my goal, is to get them all on LinkedIn, a resume, a virtual work experience, and then a job. So I know I talked a little fast, but I do thank you for your time, and I highly, highly recommend the program.
Thank you so much, Christy. And Wesley and Janet, that was so inspiring. I'm all smiles right now. And, you know, remember I told you all how rewarding my job is, and just the difference that I'm able to make working with these amazing institutions. It really warms my heart. But I hope that inspired you. What we really know today is that instructors, institutions are willing and able to quickly use these virtual work experiences in their coursework. It's just so easy. It's free, and it's really like, why not? Even in the past 16 months, we've established 210 coursework integrations globally. So this is something that can easily become a very common and highly valuable component of coursework that can even be deployed department-wide at your school. Before we make space to hear some of your questions, you will be receiving a copy of this deck. It has some great stats here that you'll see about how much impact these experiences have on students. And you'll also see a link to my calendar. So I'd like to invite you all to join us. Join the revolution. Help us bridge this gap between education and the world of work. The Forge platform is probably one of the most innovative and easiest ways I've ever heard of how to do this. And you can literally schedule some time with me, and we'll walk you through setting up a page, and you'll be ready to deploy some project-based learning made by world-leading companies in less than 30 minutes. So it's really like, why not? So of course, I did see a question that I just want to speak to before we get to the rest of the Q&A around, can students access Forage virtual work experiences on their own? Yes, absolutely. We are an open access site. Any of you all can visit our website and take a virtual work experience as well. And in the follow-up email, you'll get this deck. You'll get a one-pager just summarizing how coursework integrations work, but you'll also find a link to our marketing toolkit with some templates and just information to help you spread the word. So let's open it up for Q&A and answer any questions you all have.
Christy, the first question, do you find that faculty incorporate these Forage experiences into their course or have it as an optional add-on? Put another way, do they take something out to add these experiences?
That is an excellent question. And so it is completely up to the instructor how they want to use these virtual experiences. We just help them package it and get some data analytics to monitor participation. We've seen these be used, as an alternative to a final assignment, as Wesley mentioned. We've seen them be used to fulfill internship requirements. Now, the question of whether an instructor needs to take something out to add these experiences in, the beauty of these programs is they can retroactively be added in. We've seen instructors pilot them in courses as an extra credit assignment. So it's completely up to you how you want to use them, but there is very little legwork involved as far as just sharing a link to the page you've built, letting students complete the experience in their own time, and then the reflection is really the portion that you're being assessed, and it is subjective. So often instructors will weight it as pass, no pass, but it's completely up to the instructor how they want to assess a student's participation in these virtual experiences. And we provide reflection prompts. We'll provide you with some ideas for how you can assess it, but it's completely up to you. And we're here to support you. So feel free to get creative with them. So I hope that answered the question.
Thanks, Beck. It's often difficult to convince students to partake in professional learning opportunities if they aren't being forced to take for a class or graded. How would you pitch this to students so that they can take advantage of this opportunity, if not using it for a class?
Yeah, so we do see that students often don't do things that are optional. They have so much else going on. And so the coursework integrations really do help with the completion rates, but we have students find our programs by themselves and still complete and access amazing work opportunities with these employers. And so I think the biggest thing is a great way you can convince them. I think about myself, how would I have been able to be convinced is, do you need work experience? Would you like work experience with a big Fortune 500 company without having to apply? Would you like to do it on your own time from anywhere you are in the world? So I think just promoting it in a way that students know this is easy. It's not an application process or a competitive opportunity. It's available for you to try out and come and get the skills you need to decide if this is something you want to do in your future. And then, of course, letting students know that they're 5 times more likely to actually get an offer for an internship lets them know that this is a way for them to stand out, position themselves as the best possible candidates that they can. And of course, if they need something for their resume, being able to leverage a big employer's name is very powerful for that.
This is Christy, if I could just say, I think that for career services professionals, if you have a student who has a resume that has, basically academic coursework and maybe no work experience, this is a phenomenal way to build their resume because of the variety of opportunities that the company provides. Not only tech, for me it was basically tech, but there's a variety of other virtual work experiences that they could put on their resume.
Yeah.
And to Christy, this is Wesley, to Christy's point, I work with a lot of freshmen coming through the school business with not a lot of applied work experience. And so this is one of the first platforms we introduced to them as they're starting to prepare for that traditional internship opportunity for skill building. And we just developed a micro internship program here on campus as well. It's another way to get some project-based learning. So I think that's what we encourage those types of students. This is the platform you want to look at. And then even with COVID, when there are less opportunities and connections, then this is another advantage of using Forge.
Absolutely.
Dave has actually a pertinent question here. Is this geared mainly for undergrads, or is it relevant for graduate students as well?
They're open access. There's no educational threshold because the tasks and activities are so unique to what the work actually involves on the job. We have high school students taking these programs. We have PhD students taking these programs. So it's really a chance for anyone at any level to see if they can do the work by actually trying out the work. And so they're used at all levels. Christy and Wesley, is that how you feel as well?
Yes, I had graduate students use it as well, especially because you're constantly putting new content on there. And you always need to upskill, right? You always need to learn something new. So I would say that it's for undergraduate and graduate.
And our MBA department typically takes a lot of undergrads straight out of their senior year. So some of those students still may need those applied to work experiences to be competitive. And so I can see how that adds value, especially if you have a more traditional undergraduate going into the MBA program. So we've encouraged them to adopt it as well.
Thank you. Do the employers partnered with Forage expect that the students participating in their modules apply for their company at any point, since the employer is paying for the partnership?
Excellent question. These employers, while they've presented a space for anyone to come and learn about their workplace and get skills from them, they're looking for the right candidate. And so they want someone who's interested enough, who wants to apply. So it's not as if there's an expectation that because they're hosting this experience that students have to apply. They can do this anonymously and not apply at all and just leverage their learnings. So employers want the right candidates who are really interested, because they just invested 5 hours to learn about this experience proactively. So it's that type of proactiveness, that dedication, that shows this is a good candidate. They really want to work here.
Thank you. How is the CSI Career Office implementing this for fall, in career courses or other?
I can't speak directly for the Career Center. We're actually meeting next week to implement them, and they're going to decide how to do it. At the moment, I don't think it's in a career course. That's going to be for the computer science department. I do know that they're working on a grant, and hopefully they will be able to use it for an actual course.
If a college uses Forage, is there an opportunity for employers partnered with that college to create their own modules for the platform?
This is a great question, actually, because we've had talks internally about asking instructors what virtual work experiences they'd like to see from which employers. And so there's a full circle opportunity where if there is a need for a marketing program, we do hope that as coursework integrations utilizing the Forage platform grow across the country, that we can start gathering feedback from instructors and from students to go to prospective employers and say, look, these schools, these instructors would really like to use your programs in coursework. And so that's something that we're very much interested in getting data around, so we can better match the types of programs we're developing to the career interests that students are more interested in exploring, that instructors let us know.
Thank you. Is this only for companies that lean more towards business, finance, economics, etc., or are there opportunities for students in the arts to use this platform, i.e. English, communications, theater, music?
Such a good question. It's really important for us to offer students a diverse selection of experiences across many different industries. And so when we first started off, our first program was a law program by King and Woods. But right now we are focused heavily in law, business, tech, but we do have programs around marketing. We have programs around teaching. We have programs that are very general. And as someone who studied rhetoric and political science, I think that liberal arts students, they've developed such transcendent skills. And for them, it's really important for them to be exposed to a variety of different career paths so they can see how transcendent their education is, how they can really go after many different things. But I think part of my confusion was I just didn't have an opportunity to see that other side without committing to the work experience. So check out our catalog. We have something for everyone, and certainly an opportunity for students to just explore what we do have, because a link to one career path in a subject is better than none.
Thank you. What if there are various departments within one university that would like to use this platform? Are there health-related companies that have partnered with Forage?
We have some programs, an Australian program related to health science, social impact around HIV and healthcare. We have a legal program from Hogan and Lowe's around health science. And we are certainly looking to grow in that area. And so I think that some of the programs that we have, I would encourage them to check out or schedule time with me. We can walk through those programs together and see if they work best for those students. I hope that was the question. Was there anything else there that I left off?
What if there are various departments within one university that would like to use this platform? Are there health-related companies that have partnered with Forage?
So yes, we do have some companies that have some overlap in the healthcare space from the legal side, as well as with public health companies in Australia focused on HIV, and we're also looking to grow in that space. But yes, multiple departments can use multiple virtual work experiences, and it's an excellent opportunity to kind of push out experiential learning division-wide. So as many instructors as you like, as many courses as you like, there's no limit to the number of experiences you can embed throughout a student's learning at your institution.
Thank you. Mahek, during your undergraduate career, did you go to your career services department throughout your time at all? Just curious.
I went last minute. I went a little bit before graduating to get help with my resume because it was bleak and just ugly, honestly. And it was very beneficial. And they did help me with my resume. And I wish I had gone sooner. But, I was working and studying full time. And I think that's the thing with a lot of students is they don't have the luxury of exploring ancillary resources. And the amazing thing about this is this is a resource that empowers career centers because it's something that they can easily extend to reach students that might not be coming to them in an easily scalable way, to speak with instructors or even get creative and create a course. You can create a course that revolves around students doing a Forage virtual work experience, writing a reflection, putting it on their resume, putting it on their LinkedIn profile. And so there's many opportunities, I think, with the Forage resource for career centers to reach the students that don't have the time or aren't coming to them.
Thank you, Mahek. And we have one final question before we close. How do you select course material and the companies that create them? How are you building your library?
Yeah, and so, employers are prospected in many ways. A lot of them come to us looking to build a virtual work experience. So we're looking to spread the word. But really, I think as we work closer and expand our educational partnerships, we can be more tailored with the kinds of employers that we approach. And I'm sure many of you might already have relationships with employers who would be interested in creating a virtual work experience. And so far we've had 2 to 3 new virtual experiences coming out every couple of months or so. And so we are growing, and we want to cover every single vertical that we can, and more to come. I know we're looking to grow in the social impact space and create more virtual experiences related to working for a government organization or a nonprofit. So more to come there.
Thank you, Mahek. Go ahead and close.
This was wonderful. I really enjoyed telling you all about the great work that we do. You'll get a follow-up email with this deck, a one-pager summarizing everything, as well as some marketing material. So if you just want to spread the word about Forage, there's some templates for you to do so. But if you're really looking to integrate this into a non-optional use case for a course, schedule some time and I'll get you set up with your own page so that you can have analytics and a dashboard to monitor student participation. I can't thank you enough, Wesley, Janet, and Christy, for sharing your own experience.
Yes,
And-
enjoyed it.
Of course, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Let's get the revolution going. Let's bridge the gap between education and the place of work. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for a very informative session, and thank you, participants, for attending today's webinar. The archive, along with step-by-step instructions on how to receive these items, will be made available within 3 to 5 business days. Please note that the PowerPoint presentation will be made available following today's webinar. We would like to thank you for attending today's session. This officially concludes the webinar, and you may now sign off.